Hi, I'm Khairil and Bahar, and I'm going to be shooting film with the Canon AE-1. So, for a lot of people that have been following my YouTube channel, I've been doing a lot of stuff with vintage lenses and anamorphic lenses, mostly for video shooting. But, it's a natural evolution that I go from that, using all these vintage lenses, to actually shooting film. I actually have to give props to one of the skaters that we know, Lukman, for kind of putting that bug back in me again, because he was shooting on film and I was like, I've got a ton of film cameras, so maybe I should start shooting on film as well. And it started a really bad bug. I have started collecting a ridiculous amount of film cameras because they're affordable. So I've been just playing with film a lot for the last couple of months, and it's been a lot of fun. And I've also wanted to get back into photography, so this was kind of a cool way to get back into it. I realize as well, when I'm trying to find out more and more stuff about cameras that I'm buying, some of these cameras there isn't that much information or isn't the type of information that I want. So I thought I'd do a bunch of these videos. So if other people are trying to find out stuff about these cameras when buying them, they can have a look at them. That being said, today's camera for this first episode is a really common camera. Like, you could easily find videos and information about this camera because it was one of the best-selling film cameras by Canon in the 80s, the Canon AE-1. As to why it was the best-selling, I can't remember. It's just, it's a really fun camera. The reason why I wanted to shoot the first video with this Canon is because this was the first type of SLR film camera that I learned photography on. My parents had one, and my uncle was the one that taught me how to use it. So I fished it out from the garage and found it and started using it. This isn't the same model though. What's happened over time is that because people saw that I was into vintage lenses and a bunch of people have old film cameras just lying about, people would just leave cameras at my house, like, if you can do something with it, do it, because it's just picking up dust. So this belongs to a friend of mine, Mien. And this lens, the 50mm that's on it, I think it was the very first that I attached to a Sony camera on like my NEX 5N, which totally opened up the whole door of like, shit, I can use vintage lenses with video cameras. Now, these are available in so many places, and I've got two of them that different people have left over in my house. The thing is, they get pretty beat up, and this one is no exception. I've been holding this side for a while because the battery compartment doesn't close out. So yeah, there's that problem there. When she passed it to me, it was actually covered with gaffer tape, which we're going to tape up today. The other problem with this, I've taken a few shots with this camera, and the light seals are causing light leaks because the light seals are pretty much dead. See, all these areas are supposed to have a foam light seal around it, and they're all pretty much disintegrated. In order to combat it, because the light leaks are pretty horrendous, like, yeah, it could be kind of fun in low-mo, but I want to try and minimize it. I brought some electrical tape to just cover up all these edges and to cover this bit up. And I figured since it's a nice sunny day, I'm going to be shooting with some Fuji ISO 100 film, and let's see how it goes. Light sealed camera. It looks really ghetto, but hey, if it works, it works. Okay, let's shoot some photos. Now, even though my company does have an office, I usually prefer working at home, but every once in a while I'll come in to sign some documents or take a meeting like I did on this day. So I figured it'd be a good time to shoot this episode and snap some photos of anyone who was working on that day. Unlike most manual SLR cameras at the time, this camera is reliant on the battery for it to be working because it has a microprocessor in it that controls the TTL exposure metering and controls the shutter priority function. So whilst a bunch of other manual SLR cameras usually just have the battery for the exposure reading, this one needs it to activate the shutter as well. The camera has shutter priority automatic exposure as well as manual override. It has shutter speeds from 2 seconds to 1/1000th of a second, as well as bulb mode and a self-timer, and an active hot shoe. After taking some snacks at the office, I thought it'd be good to go have lunch at Mohsin, one of my favorite restaurants in my area, and then take some photos of the guys that work there, the people around the area, the wet market, and on the street. Apart from the light leak issues and the fact that the battery compartment won't close properly, the camera's exposure meter isn't working properly, so I would have to gauge exposure based on my eye using Sunny 16 rule and working down from there. Thankfully, most if not all the shots came out with decent exposure, maybe slightly overexposed, which on film is really not that much of a problem compared to digital. Apart from cats and the guys that work at Mohsin, there wasn't really that much to photograph in the area, so we decided to go to our next stop, which was the skate park in Shah Alam, to take some snaps and finish up the roll with one of the Scarlet skateboard riders, Said Kodi. Okay, so we took some photos in Tamantan. I still got about 10-11 shots left, so we're at the skate park right now with my man Kodim here. What you gonna do?
What you gonna do with all that hump inside of my trunk? Hey.
Even though this camera is quite beat up, there's obviously a lot of problems. The exposure's not working properly, the light seals are gone, the battery door won't close. The camera still works. All it needed was a battery for it to start taking pictures. All the shutter speeds were working fine, the viewfinder was fine, a few specs here and there, but nothing you couldn't clean up. And after all this time, I'm glad that the camera that I first started using when I was 14 years old is still a lot of fun to shoot with.
You got this. Yeah, you got this.
If you're interested in getting an SLR film camera, you can't go wrong with the Canon AE-1. There are tons of them around. They're pretty affordable, and you should be able to find one easily on eBay, or if you're lucky, at a flea market or garage sale. And that's the roll. I'll open this later, dude. It's all taped up.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. There'll be a whole bunch more episodes coming in with different cameras. In the meantime, please click subscribe, and if you have any questions, please leave one in the comments. Thanks.